When we look back at history, we see many dominant empires who ruled other kingdoms with strength and intelligence. Among those empires the British were one of the famous and dominant empire, whose history and impact are been studied in certain part of the world. At its peak the British Empire was the largest empire in history, covering 20% of the world. The British Empire was described as the empire which the sun never set. They ruled over Canada, New Zealand, South America, Africa and part of India. In this video we are going to focus on India, how the British Empire managed to loot India trillions of dollars. Let's get into it. A renowned economist from India, Utsa Patnaik, wrote a research article in Columbia University Press in 2018. In his article, he concluded that the British plundered almost around $45 trillion from India between 1765 to 1838, which is almost 17 times the current amount combined GDP of Britain and India. The British had ruled India for over 200 years from 1858 to 1947. So how did the British Empire stole almost $45 trillion from India? Exploited a trade system. In the 1600s, the British showed up in India and landed in Surat, and the East India Company was built. India and the British first contact was through trade. The East India Company started building factories in major Indian coastal cities such as Surat, Bombay, Madras, Masulipatam and Bengal. They were served as the trading center for the East India Company. The British used gold and silver to purchase rice and textiles from India in the beginning, but the British sold those purchased goods at a higher price in the European market. In 1764, after the Battle of Buxar, the East India Company acquired revenue collection rights in Bengal and systematically enlarged the scope across the subcontinent of India. After collecting the revenues from Indian companies, the British used the revenues generated to purchase Indian goods. This way the British do not need to use any of their government money to purchase, they earn 100% profit. Before the revenues exist, they exchange Indian goods with silver and gold. The Indian producer were unaware because the tax collectors and production goods were from different sectors controlled under the authority of British trade policy. In the late 17th century, Indian textiles industry was at the top of demand. But as a result of industrialization in the United Kingdom, the British were able to make cheaper cloth with machinery and produce it at faster rate than hand-woven cloth. The demand of Indian hand-woven cloth was still a competition for the British. They had to form a scheme to neutralize Indian textiles industry by imposing high tariffs on imported Indian textiles. This unjust trade practice destroyed the Indian textiles sectors and resulted in the industrialization of Indian economy. Indian resources were used to finance war. The British also used the revenue they collected to expand their colonial invasion. According to Utsa Patnaik, almost every battle that the British wars after colonizing India was financed by Indian taxpayers. In 1840s, Britain used the collected revenue to finance an invasion of China. The Indian troops were also sent to fight on the Allied side during World War I and World War II. The Indian troops were reluctant and had no desire to fight, but they were compelled to fight by the British monarch. According to Shashi Tharoor, a former Indian international diplomat and former Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, had said approximately 1/6 of British soldiers were Indian and nearly 54,000 Indian troops lost their lives in World War I alone. The total cost of Indian support for British during World War II was estimated to be around €100 million. Fun fact, the British were so good at looting they even stole the word loot from India and put it into their dictionary and vocabulary. Now everyone believes that it is an English word. Now let's look on what the British had to say and their view on the take. According to 2014 YouGov poll, over half of British citizens feel that colonization benefited the Indian colonies but had a negative effect on the British economy. It harmed the economy. Former British PM David Cameron agrees to those claims. Modern education and postal system were introduced by the British. Railways were built to benefit the Indian industries. But in reality, the railways were used for transporting extracted resources: coal, iron, cotton, ore and so on. There were no Indian were employed, all their railway staff were European. different compartments were made for Indian people, with wooden seat. In 1843, Governor-General Lord Hardinge said the railways would be beneficial to the commerce, government and military control of the country. In the olden days, kingdoms invade each other's, gold, silver, valuables, goods, animals were taken as trophies, spoils of wars. But the case between British and India was different. India was made up of multiple kingdoms ruled by different kings. India was not united. The British used the playbook divide and rule. They were very tactical about which princes they allied with and who the princes fought with. So, was this a fair play by the British or not? Comment your thought down below and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like.